Hello, it's Danielle. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about why it was so important for me to get my autism diagnosis, like an actual diagnosis. It was so important to me because I felt like I was just failing drastically at life. I'm not a good friend. I don't make a good girlfriend. I made a horrible wife. I got myself divorced. And I always just felt like I was just a horrible daughter. I could never live up to the expectations I felt that my mom set for me. And I knew that I was going to either end up dead or in jail if I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So that's why it was so important for me to get my autism diagnosis. I want to talk about how I felt like I was very different as a child. So I grew up in a very wealthy family, and I think because of that, looking in, you couldn't tell anything was wrong, but I felt like I was just being mentally tortured because something was wrong with me. So I had a great childhood. My mom was my best friend, and I absolutely loved it. And everything was great up until I was about, I don't know, I want to say 11 or 12 years old when puberty started hitting and, just life was changing. Boys and girls are different really at that age. And the things that they're expected of and the things they like are very different. And this was so hard for me. So a big thing was I'm the oldest of a lot of siblings, and I was always expected to babysit, which that's not the problem. The problem's not that I was expected to babysit, but it was the fact that I don't feel like I could have cared for myself. Like, why don't you have a babysitter for me too? Like, I was terrified of being left alone. I don't cook. I don't do stuff in the kitchen because I'm terrified that I would catch the house on fire because I just wouldn't remember the stove is on. So it got to the point where I just wouldn't make myself food because I couldn't remember to check these things, and I didn't understand why. And Jane, we're back with Jane. She's moving around. So I was just terrified. I wasn't fulfilling, these expectations at the age I was at, and all my sisters hated me because I'd be forced to babysit. And I mean forced. Like, I would say, no, I can't do it. Like, why don't I have a babysitter? And everyone else my age is actually babysitting, and that's how they're making money. Not me. I don't want to watch people's kids. They cry. They're gross. There's boogers everywhere. Like, there's spit. And then a baby, I have to change a baby. It's not happening. No, children are not my thing, and I did not want to babysit my sisters. Like, why are you having so many kids if you can't watch your own kids? Like, your other kids are not babysitters to your kids. And this is how I thought growing up. And then I always thought as well that something must be wrong with me because this motherly instinct it's not kicking in me. It is not kicking in. So I get a little bit older, and I start to get money, and, jobs are starting to become a thing. And this is extremely overwhelming. All I want to do is play with my animals. This is all I've ever enjoyed doing. It was never ever a problem. I was actually very encouraged, and nobody had a problem with it until, again, it started getting to where I should be interested in boys, or, I should be paying more attention to other things than just animals. There's more things in life than just animals. Not to me, that's what made me happy. I was very religious growing up, and it was forced down my throat, so that's why I think I fought it so much. But I love the concept of space and time. I will spend all my free time with animals or researching space, time, aliens, extraterrestrials. I don't know, that's what makes me happy. Not boys, not parties, not drama. I just wasn't into that. But the older I got, the more I seemed to attract that. And I would get these, I felt like, really inappropriate comments from my mom. Like, why aren't you at parties? Why aren't you interested in boys? So I got so embarrassed that when I got my license, I would choose to just go out into the desert by myself and just be out there by myself in the desert. And when I would get home, I'd be like, oh, I, was doing this or that, because I just wanted to feel like I was accepted in life. When really I was miserable inside my own mind, not understanding why it wasn't okay for me to just want animals. So 16 comes around, I turned 16, and growing up, I always felt like I was always being watched, and I was paranoid, just paranoid growing up. And I hate talking about this, but I feel like the whole reason that I've made it this far in life is to share my story and to help other individuals. So when I turned 16, I found a video camera in my bathroom that my stepdad put in there. Growing up, I always felt like I was always being watched. Like it was so bad that when I would shower, I would put towels around the the glass that was in the shower because I felt like someone was just spying on me, and I hated it. It got so bad that I would change in the dark, and again, this would exhaust me because who has to change in the dark because they feel like they're being watched? Like this was my life growing up, and whenever I would try and speak up, my mom would always say, "You're fine. You're just paranoid." Well, I found a video camera in my bathroom when I was 16 years old, and it was from my stepdad. My stepdad put that in there. So I thought I was going crazy this whole time. Come to find out, no, my stepdad has a really nasty pornography addiction, and all of these things growing up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have been being like, I'm the scapegoat for my stepdad's nasty, nasty addiction. So I finally, tell my mom, look, why are you with this man? I mean, I have grown up like feeling I'm going crazy because I feel like I'm being tormented in my own house, but yet nobody's actually physically touching me. But I never felt like I had my own privacy or space, and I'm dying inside mentally. So my mom's like, oh my gosh, like that's bad, whatever. And I feel better, but time goes on. She's still with this man. And I don't communicate very well. Like I feel like actions speak louder than words. And maybe that's why, people have taken advantage of me, is because I'm a person to just quietly make a plan and execute that plan. I'm not going to make drama. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. Most of the time, people are making a plan because they don't like the situation they're in. And the only way to get out of that is to do it yourself, really. But as a 16-year-old little girl, I rely on my parents, and my mom continued to stay with this man. And I'm mentally being tormented. Like, I'm not interested in other girls. I have a really good life. Like, we live in a really nice house. I have an awesome car. Like, anything I really want, I'm given it. But the one thing that I'm desperate for is my sanity. I want to know why I don't feel like I have privacy. I want to know why, like, I feel like whenever I am making any money, it's taken from me from like my sisters because we're not allowed to have the doors locked. We don't even have door handles on our doors in our room. And I felt like this was because it was like control. I don't even know why. I just know that I'm mentally going crazy in my own house growing up, and I'm reaching out to my mom and nothing's happening. So 16, I formed this plan. Like my mom keeps saying, oh, she's, you need to get a plan. And I'm wondering why she's not leaving this man. So I have a job and I'm secretly just piling money away because as soon as I'm 18, I'm gone. My mom hasn't left this man who has a nasty pornography addiction. And as the years go by, his addiction gets worse because nobody's doing shit about it, except I'm not even doing anything except making a plan to get away from this man because my mom is choosing to stay with him. So I felt like I was just, every time I would walk around the house, I'm comfy here. Let me show you. I am comfy in this outfit. It's comfortable to me. But as, women get older, their bodies are sexualized. And I felt like my mom was blaming me for my dad's nasty addiction. Like the way he would look at me is just very uncomfortable. I hated it. But all I wanted was my mom as my best friend. I don't want a boyfriend. I don't want to be married. I knew I wasn't going to make a good wife. And all I wanted to do was, again, my animals and do my research for aliens and stuff. That's what made me happy. But doing that, I always felt like I was being watched and it was torment. So 18 comes around and I have enough money that I move out. I move out and my mom gets really mad. And I asked her, I was like, I've been saving since 16 because I don't want to be with this man. You continue to live with a man who has a nasty addiction and you have all girls. Like, why are you still with him? So it's been my mission to like figure out what's wrong with me and try to raise awareness for like sexual abuse that goes on inside homes. Just because you're privileged doesn't mean there's not problems going on inside a closed house. And I felt like because my family, threw the best parties, we had the best toys, nobody was going to say shit because then, all their fun goes away versus, there's 6 little girls in this home with a predator and nobody's doing anything. So it's been my life mission to figure out what's wrong with me and to like raise awareness for that. So anyways, 18 comes and I move out. I have a great job, put myself through college, and I find a boyfriend. Well, 4 years goes by and it just drastically fails. Because again, all I want is my mom. I just want to live with my mom and play with my pets and, research my doomsday stuff. But I can't do that because I have made it my life mission to never have to go home again, because I'm not going to let my stepdad do gross things to me visually and like with a camera, and it wasn't going to happen. So I spent all my time working, and then on my free time I was sleeping because I was exhausted. I was exhausted from just working and trying to pay for, a place where I didn't have to be with my nasty stepdad. So time goes on, I get married, and that just drastically falls apart because, again, I'm undiagnosed autism, I'm weird, all I want to do is hang out with my animals and be by myself. Well, when you're married, that's not really how it works out. And I totally know that. It's totally my fault my marriage didn't work out. And it was because I truly feel that I was undiagnosed and all I wanted was the approval of my mom. That's all I ever wanted. And in her eyes, that was, being married, being successful, not just playing with your pets by yourself. Like, that's not the purpose of life. And I was sad and embarrassed that was the purpose in my life, was to care for my animals, because that's what made me happy. So I'm miserably failing at life because, I just got myself divorced and I'm sad. So I'm trying to get diagnosed. And my mom finally moves out of the house with my stepdad. So I'm like, awesome. I'm going to go back home with my mom to try, and get the mental help that I need. And I'm having really bad seizures at the time. So I go back home and I, have my first doctor's appointment. And I feel like life is going great. Maybe from the outside looking in, it doesn't, because my husband's divorcing me and I'm living back home, not at home with my mom, but I'm with my mom trying to get the mental help I need. But for once, I'm happy. Like, I am happy that I'm back with my mom, who I felt like was my best friend, and she's helping me get the mental help I need. Well, 3 months go by and she goes, I'm moving back in with Scott, Scott. And I'm just like, I'm not doing that. So all my mental health, like, progress that I felt like I was finally getting the help for after years of mental torment growing up, from my stepdad, was just now put on hold again because Jane's not happy. So she's not very nice. She's a very mean snake, and I can feel her lunging when I put my other hand close. So I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. So my mom chooses to move back in with this man. Not happening for me. I would rather, you're going to find me dead before you find me back living with a man who puts video cameras in little girls' bathrooms. So I go to a women's shelter. I did it. I put my pride, I buried my pride. My mom moved back in with this pedophile, and I'm going to a women's shelter to continue my mental health journey and to figure out what's wrong with me. So I'm at this women's shelter, and I have a vehicle and I have a car. So all I need is, like, a place to live when I know I can't live by myself, but I can't live with my mom, who I want to live with. So I feel like this is just mental torture, whatever. So I find a roommate, and that goes great for, 2 months. But then again, I feel like I just attract the wrong type of people. And that only lasts a few years before I had to break it off and just leave all my stuff again, like starting over. I felt like another man tried to take advantage of me and the fact that I can support myself. But the problem with that is I have absolutely no time or energy for anybody else, which means I just make a really good roommate because I can pay half the rent. But don't expect anything else from me, as like a friend or a girlfriend. I can't give you that. I can give you half the rent and half the bills, and the rest of my time I'm sleeping, because I know I have to go to work because I can't go home to my mom. I can't. This just isn't an option for me. So all this drama is going on at home, and I'm finally not there. Well, I finally get the not the mental help I need, the diagnosis that I need. And, I tell my mom, hey, I'm just autistic. Nothing's wrong with me. I just don't like people. And it's okay to be like this. It's totally fine. My mom goes, you're not autistic. You just like drama. And I was shocked. I was so shocked that she said that to me. My own mom said that I like drama. All I've ever wanted was to just be in my own space with my own animals. Instead, I've always been forced to care for other people's children and try and please men when that's not what I want to do. I just want to be by myself. And it took doctors to say for me, sorry, my words get jumbled up when I get frustrated, and I'm still recovering from the fact that my mom is with a man who does that. It's just disgusting. So it's important to go get these diagnoses if you feel that you need them. I know it was important for my sanity. So another thing, how I was able to just not go back home is when I was a little girl, I would get money and my sisters, or I don't know, someone would take my money and it would be gone. And because we weren't allowed to lock our doors and I had so many family members in our household, I had to figure out how to save that money. So I started hiding and burying my money because I knew that my mom wasn't going to leave this man. And if I wanted to leave, obviously money is the only way to escape a bad environment when you don't have support. So I started saving. And when I got older, banks started coming in. I don't trust people. I don't trust people. I don't trust banks. If I can't physically buy it, I don't want a loan. And I'm not keeping my money in the bank. It's not happening. I don't trust anybody. So I started burying stuff. So the last bad relationship or roommate, whatever you want to call it, I got out of, I remembered I had all of this money buried. I just had to figure out how to get back to my hometown to unbury it. So I quit my job and I'm going back to my hometown because I just felt like I just miserably failed at life again. So I unbury all this money that I've had buried for years. And it was enough to get in contact with some friends who have a house. I was like, hey, I need a room. Can I give you some money so I can just have a room and just recover in peace? I don't want anybody to know I'm here. Don't I mean my stepdad has this weird obsession with me. He's gonna reach out to you. He's gonna reach out to you. He's gonna try and like bribe me with things. Like I just please ignore him. Is this enough money that you can tell people I'm just non-existent because I'm trying to get away from this man, my stepdad that my mom won't leave. So I'm 30 years old, and all I've ever wanted to do is get away from my stepdad. I felt like he had this weird obsession with me, and all I wanted was to get away and feel like I was in peace. So I finally, my friends from when I was little, actually were like, you know what? Now that you say this, all those signs were there. We saw that weird things that were going on in your house. So they're like, okay. So I finally found a safe place, a safe environment to where I can just be me. This is me playing with my pets, and now I can try and raise awareness for abuse and just nasty things that went on in my home. I don't want them to happen to other girls. So me making these videos is how I like to spend my free time. I don't like people. I don't understand the social cues, and I feel like people just talk crap about each other, and yet they still continue to hang out with each other. It just blows my mind. Animals are not like that. So that's why it was so important for me to find or to get a diagnosis, is because I needed to know that it's okay to want to be alone. And having this autism diagnosis is what did that for me. I know that I'm okay to just want to be by myself. So if anyone else is like that, don't stop seeking treatment. You don't have to have a diagnosis to accept that. I just needed the diagnosis because I felt like my support system was adamant that, I'm either bipolar or I'm something else that medication can fix. And that wasn't the case. Like I tried years of medication. I've been in, a mental institution, and none of that helped. What helped is being by myself and accepting that it is okay to be like this. Don't let society tell you what they want. I mean, you'll be miserable if you're always listening to other people. It took me 32 years to just be okay with myself and loving myself. So I hope you guys got something out of this. Don't give up on your quest on finding answers, whatever it is. It's possible. And if you're in a miserable situation, be silent and make a plan. Asking for help is great, but if you know in your heart that something isn't right and people around you are telling you that it's okay or you're fine, just listen to your heart. Pray. I like to pray, and that's where I find my answers. And yeah, I hope that you guys out there on your own journey continue to seek for answers, because life is so much better when you get them and you accept yourself. So have a good day. Bye. See Jane.